Blizzard have said there is no fun that can be had with Illari. Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So she's being nerfed, although it isn't as bad as we initially feared, but it's still a pretty hefty nerf. And by the way, this is a cool clip. It's kind of funny to me that, okay, I know I was nano boosted and I use my ultimate, but the fact that a support can just kill people, it's like, I guess you're supporting. Anyway, watch this. Well, supporting by killing everyone. Did you catch that anyway? Over my mad rambling. Let's watch this back again in slow motion. Watch D.Va eat the projectile from Captive Sun. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen loads of clips, but look at that. This one specifically was from me playing, and that should have detonated because D.Va wasn't even really looking at me. She was starting to look at me, but she really wasn't. Now, there's been some changes to the ultimate. There is a little teensy buff and then a pretty hefty nerf. So, this is what they've done to Captive Sun. Projectile impact and explosion are now blocked by barriers. This is a really good change because at no point in the game was it actually communicated to tanks. So I'm looking at Reinhardt players here, that turning your shield to face the ultimate projectile doesn't actually block it. In fact, you'd think it would, but it didn't, and it went through and it applied the what's it called, Sunstruck, which is the effect which obviously then could be detonated if you took enough damage. Yeah, but now barriers block it. I agree with this. I think it's good. The next change is to projectile size. So it's been decreased by basically 50%. So it was 1.5 meters. It is now 0.75 meters. This should help with things like at the start of this video where D.Va ate the projectile without actually really looking at the projectile. Now, it must be said, Captive Sun, I don't think is a very good ultimate. In fact, the best component of Captive Sun is the fact it makes you fly. And you will see in a moment in this video clip, because I'm flying, I'm able to just snipe people with primary fire. And you can argue that probably a primary fire needed looking at, not all the other nerfs that they've done to her in this update. But anyway, yeah, Captive Sun, projectile size decreased, but it's still going to be pretty easy for, let's say, a D.Va to get rid of your projectile. It moves so slow, it's so obvious when you pop your ultimate because you're literally glowing and you fly. All D.Va needs to do is look at you and use defense matrix, so it's still going to be easy for her to stop it. It's going to be a little bit harder, I think, for Orisa. You see what I mean? Like, just deleted that Baptiste. Although, obviously, he jumped up in the air, so it became very easy to hit, but whatever. But yeah, it's going to be harder for Orisa, harder for Sigma, and harder for Genji to deflect. But I think D.Va is still going to be a very strong counter to Illari's ultimate. Yeah, there's also one other component that they've looked at, which I don't really think was needed, but apparently the devs think it is they've reduced the duration of Sunstruck from, as I delete theirs, from 7 to 6 seconds. And yeah, I don't agree with this. I think this is a bit over the top, a bit heavy-handed. But there are dev comments which we will get to towards the end of this section. But first, I want to talk about healing Pylon. This is a huge nerf, an absolutely huge nerf. So the heal has been decreased from 40 to 30. That is a 10 reduction in healing per shot from the healing Pylon. Now, let me explain why this is pretty bad for Illari. This is where your healing comes from. Your alternate fire heal is an emergency close range burst heal. It is 125 health per second. It is incredibly good as a heal, but you have to commit to the front line. You have to put yourself in a pretty bad position generally to keep your tank alive or somebody who needs emergency triage. So the trade-off there, I think, is fine. Now, there are some questions about the visual effect on this weapon because it's really weird when you're using alternate fire, the heal. You can't really tell if it's hitting the target or not. Obviously, you can when it starts healing them, but it's a little bit odd. Like, it needs a bit more, I think, of a visual update, kind of like Symmetra's beam or even Zarya's, because with those beams, you can tell the sort of range, and you can also tell when they're impacting on a target. But this means your healing is going to be massively reduced on this hero now. This is where your healing comes from. You place the Pylon in a nice position, and then you heal. Well, it heals over time, and you go for your emergency triage with your alternate fire. You're just going to do less healing now, and I think this is a pretty heavy-handed nerf. They've also nerfed the shields on the Pylon itself, so it no longer has 75 shields on top of its health. It's just got 50. Again, a heavy nerf. Now, the way to play around Illari is to just destroy the Pylon. If you see the Pylon, destroy it. It's going to completely nuke her healing output, and that's the case pre-nerf, but now they've gone in and heavily nerfed this. I don't know. I think a lot of play against Illari was actually her knowing where to place the Pylon and other players trying to destroy the Pylon, and you know, that's going to be kind of weaker now, and I don't know, it seems a bit heavy-handed. Also, as well, she's available in competitive right now, which is no surprise that these nerfs have come through, and I think it's going to kind of be a bit deflated, I guess, playing her in comp now, whereas I was looking forward to it. I'm still going to enjoy it, but I really was looking forward to it before, and I feel like they could have waited for competitive data to come through before they made any changes, and maybe just change one aspect of the kit kit instead of like multiple changes, you know, could be a bit heavy-handed. Anyway, let's move on. So these are the dev comments on the nerfs. Illari has had a strong showing since her launch. The following changes are meant to promote a better balance between healing and damage while adding more counterplay against her abilities. We are making the healing pylon weaker as it's often placed out of line of sight or at odd angles and isn't being destroyed as often as we expected. Captive Sun ignoring barriers is not immediately intuitive, but we're also reducing the projectile size, so blocking or destroying will require more precision. Finally, the Sunstruck effect lasts too long to reasonably avoid the detonation damage threshold. Now, what I will say about that is, yeah, Sunstruck, I mean, the way you avoid that is your tank either eats it or it gets deflected or it gets sucked or something like that, right? Or you just run away from it. It's not a massively fast projectile. And I think I think these nerfs are really heavy-handed. The new hero, I don't want it to be crazy OP, but I want it to remain fun to play. I don't want it to feel limp. I definitely don't want it to feel like Lifeweaver felt. So let's move on to some bug fixes. So Bastion fixed an issue where the medal victory pose was not listed in the hero gallery. Echo fixed an issue with cloned Illari's captive sun explosion, damaging herself and allies. Orisa fixed an issue where the Who Said Chivalry is Dead voice line is missing from the hero gallery, and fixed an issue where Orisa's World Cup skin was inaccessible. And then onto the mission. So Toronto fixed in a previous update, fixed an issue with slicers clipping into the ferry, making them difficult to target. Yes, that was super annoying. Gothenburg fixed in a previous update, fixed an issue where the babies are safe challenge was unlocked to be completed, or unable, sorry, to be completed, and fixed an issue with the Titan being invisible for the first few seconds of its intro, and fixed an issue with invisible collision around the mega cannon that blocks Briggs, Shield Bash, and Whip Shot, and that was super frustrating. That was, if you ever played that. I don't even know how that got through Q&A. That is absolutely terrible. And Underworld, they fixed in a previous update, fixed an issue where the Stop Thief challenge was unable to be completed. So let's talk about the progression system, because this has got problems. Notably, it doesn't track old progression. But you can see why Blizzard do that, because they don't want you to remember that Overwatch 1 existed. It's like Overwatch 2 and that's it. Anyway, look at this. So this is a screenshot from an official Blizzard blog of a very advanced player progression profile. I mean, to get to like a level 427 is going to take you a lot of time. And also, I don't know, maybe it's my boomer brain, but this just looks like a load of flashy icons that don't really mean anything, you know what I mean? Anyway, let's take a look at some rewards. So you've got player icons, yeah, whatever. You've got name cards, which you can see here, and also there's player titles available. They're okay. I mean, okay, fine. I mean, it's not really making me super jazzed. This, though, is kind of worrying. So this is the top comment from the blog post, and it says it's all very confusing in the UIs and ISOR. I kind of agree with that, because I don't really know what I'm looking at on that page. But then, if you look at what Izzy goes on to say, why don't my already given hours in the game go towards these new things? Do I really have to play 600 more hours of Mercy? So if it takes 25 hours of using one character to get one ball added to the stat, how long is it going to take to get silver? It's going to take a long time. But that's kind of the point of the system. And I'm not entirely worried about it taking a long time to complete. But the previous comment relating to where are my old stats, I think is an issue. And this has been an issue throughout Overwatch 2's life. And it is, again, this idea of they just want you to forget Overwatch 1 existed. It's almost like they don't want you to see the stats. They want you to believe they're not relevant anymore. So we're just going to get rid of them. They want you to play Overwatch 2 and invest into this game now and stop thinking and dreaming about the past. This is an issue that I've got with the game. But anyway, I digress. If you have played the game for thousands of hours, which a lot of us have, the game being Overwatch 1, and this is Overwatch 2, which is basically the same game. It's just 5v5 with now new heroes and new game modes. There is literally no change there. We have lost access to all of the stats that we had before. Your competitive stats are gone. Your account stats that just don't apply in this new system. And it's very odd. But then it's not if you look at it through the lens of, we want you to play Overwatch 2 now. We don't want you to look back at your old stats and go, oh yeah, this is what I've got. Also, there is a massive issue with a progression system giving you tons of rewards straight away. Most of us would have logged into this and suddenly got like the 1,000 hour badge on whatever hero, you know, on multiple heroes probably. That defeats the point of the system. So you can see why Blizzard haven't brought it in. Do I agree with it? No. Again, this is an issue Overwatch 2 has got, where it's chasing to re-add features back in that were in Overwatch 1. And I'm sure we're going to see more of this going forward in the future. The fact is, guys, Illari has been nerfed, and I am a bit disappointed because she's now available in competitive, and I was looking forward to trying her in comp. I think Blizzard should have waited a little bit longer, but yeah. All right, guys, thanks for watching and listening to the video. I hope you have a good day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you soon.